This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Welcome to a Monday Night RAW recap edition of the D-Loop podcast brought to you by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis, and wow. What a Monday Night RAW. Unprecedented 8 matches. Yes, guys, 8 matches that the WWE put on for us for Monday Night RAW, and it wasn't, 8 throwaway matches. These were some well-detailed encounters, and it was incredible. Obviously, you had them mixed in with a few vignettes and a few promo segments and everything, but I thought all the roads are leading towards Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. So let's get right into it. So they opened up with a segment, a promo segment for that matter, by Cody Rhodes. Very passionate promo, recapping what happened Saturday night with this match with Brock Lesnar. And what he went through as far as that match, how he was able to get through it, how he was able to get the W in that match, and of course them being in Jacksonville, of course his homage to AEW, how he stated how he spent most of the pandemic in Jacksonville, which is 100% the case. They were doing their shows at Daly's Place every week, so nice homage to AEW without mentioning the acronyms AEW. So he goes on to talk about, the World Heavyweight Championship tournament and what it's going to mean to him to become the champion. So he walks up the aisle, and of course he goes up to the title belt and basically declares the tournament to begin. And out comes Seth freaking Rollins, who was scheduled to be in a triple threat match against Shinsuke Nakamura and Damian Priest. And of course, Cody and Seth have their little stare down. Of course, their history going back to their 3 epic matches last year. And, that was the first match of the tournament. So it was going to be 2 triple threat matches. And the winner of those matches, we're going to face each other at the end of the night to go to Night of Champions and face the winner of the SmackDown tournament this coming Friday. So, the triple threat match, you got 3 guys in there that know what they're doing. Talk about seasoned veterans, that have been there and done it. And I was hoping that Damian Priest would, walk out with the victory. But Seth Rollins, he hits Shinsuke Nakamura with the pedigree, with a splash, then a pedigree. I think he had a knee bar on Damian Priest. Seth Rollins comes out of nowhere with a big splash, hits the pedigree, 1, 2, 3. He goes to the match at the end of the night to face the winner of the second triple threat match, which we'll get to in a second. But it goes to a backstage vignette with the Imperium, who is walking through the halls of the arena talking about how, Gunther's coming. And then they walk by, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And, they interrupted, Kevin and Sammy, and they're being a little bit overbearing, and I think he put his finger in Kevin's face, and which leads to having a match later on in the night on Monday Night Raw. Second match is Otis, who comes out with Maxine Dupree and Chad Gable, and he takes on Mustafa Ali, and of course it's going to lead to something, and I do believe Otis is going to end up going with Maxim male models, but we'll see. But nonetheless, there was a little dissension with Chad Gable and Maxine Dupree on the apron, causing Otis to get distracted. And of course, Mustafa Ali wins with the 450 splash. Then, they goes to a backstage promo with The Miz, hyping up his triple threat match against Finn Balor and Cody Rhodes. And that leads to the triple threat match. The match is going great. I'm thinking Cody, everyone's thinking Cody's going to win. But they did report that Brock Lesnar was going to be in the arena. And what happens right when Cody's ready to pin, I believe it was Finn Balor. Out of the blue comes Brock Lesnar in a hoodie and, starts beating the crap out of Cody Rhodes. Of course, in the triple threat match, there's no disqualification. Finn Balor wins to advance to the semifinals at the end of the night, and Brock Lesnar F5's Cody on the table, and man, Brock was rocking a shiner, and of course the stitches from when he did a hard way to the head on Saturday night, and you could see the stitches in the middle of his head, but he was rocking a shiner on his left eye, and he was just saying, "Look at me, look at my face," or whatever it was that he said, and he basically said that he was taunting Cody, he wanted to fight him at Night of Champions. So that sets up that match. So we go on to match number 4, and we have Rhea Ripley, and she's facing Dana Brooke. And I hadn't seen Dana Brooke on TV in a while, but quick match. Rhea Ripley wins by submission, and Rhea was giving her a beatdown. And after the match was, during the beatdown, Natalya comes out. Now that Natalia's on Raw, and those that has been following my social media, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, or even my YouTube channel, I did interview Natalya during WrestleMania's press junket, and I asked her what was her goal for 2023, and her goal was to be the Raw Women's Champion, a title that she never won. So we shall see what happens here. But of course, she does come down to save the day, and she confronts Rhea Ripley, and Dominic Mysterio whispers something in Rhea's ear, and then they leave. Then they show some vignettes for the NXT call-ups. I know Jinder Mahal and his crew, Apollo Crews, and then Zoe Stark. And then, of course, it goes to a backstage interview with Zoe Stark, and she's talking about, how she's going to go over the competition. And, of course, she, looks at Nikki Cross. Nikki was doing Nikki Cross things in the back. He calls her a weirdo, and then she issues a challenge for Nikki later on that night. Then we move on to the tag team match of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Imperium. And man, I got to tell you, I really dig the Imperium. I dig their matches. Granted, obviously Gunther, obviously he's the main guy there, but Ludwig and I think Vinci, I think his name is, those two guys can go, and I think if they can, be highlighted more, who knows where this can lead down the road. But of course, the champions win with a huge huluva kick by Sami Zayn to get the 1, 2, 3. There's a backstage vignette with Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, and they're getting people to sign a petition for them to get a title rematch, in which they did lose. They did lose a match to the champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, but they're trying to get people to sign. And there was an appearance by the group called The Way from NXT, who are now on the main roster. So, of course, Candice LeRae, Johnny Gargano, Indy Hartwell, and Dexter Lumis. So you see that appearance from them. And then, of course, match number 6 is Zoe Stark and Nikki Cross. And I think this match was really utilized to introduce the WWE fans to who Zoe Stark is, because a lot of WWE fans don't watch NXT, and that's okay. A lot of people are very loyal to Raw, they're very loyal to SmackDown, so they're not so much loyal to NXT. So I think smart business, getting Zoe featured on this, on this card, this doesn't hurt Nikki Cross in any way, shape, or form. She's still over with the crowd, but Zoe does hit the Z360, to get the win over Nikki Cross. So I think, putting her in these type of matches are really going to build her up as far as the consumer confidence with the WWE fans, and they will want to see her, every single week. I thought, rather than use an established star, maybe they could use an enhancement talent. Somebody, typical similar how AEW does with AEW Dark or AEW Dark Elevation, having some wrestlers like that are on the indies, trying to, make a name for themselves and put them in a match like that. But again, different strokes for different folks, but whatever the case may be. But that was that match. And then they go to a backstage interview with Rhea and Dom. Out of nowhere comes Xavier Woods and Tozawa. And, Dominic gets upset. And then, of course, Woods challenges Dom. But Rhea Ripley tells Woods that Dom accepts. So she basically was talking for him. So I wasn't sure where they were going with it. But we'll see. Trish Stratus comes out to do a promo. And, she was insulting Becky Lynch. insulting her daughter. I mean, it was just like, man. Then of course, Becky's music hits, and Trish Stratus, she laughs out when she found when people see where Becky didn't come out. Typical what Shawn Michaels did when he was in Montreal back in 2005, and Bret Hart's music hit, and he was like, "Oh, I fooled you." But then again, insulting Becky Lynch, insulting I think Kevin Patrick, because I know that he's from Ireland too, so he was so she was insulting Becky, just kept going and on and on and on, and out of nowhere, Becky Lynch actually does show up, trades punches with her and hits her with the Bexploder, and Trish runs for cover. So I'm interested to see where this goes, because the fact that Trish is back, I guess she's only doing TV. She's not doing house shows. From what I understand, I haven't read anything. I stay away from the dirt sheets because it's toxic. But I'm interested to see, where this is going to go. I'm excited that Trish is back. I think her working with, current talent, it bridges the gap, so to speak, from a fan's perspective, because you got a lot of young fans that may have not seen Trish Stratus, in her prime. You figure Trish retired from, full-time competition back in September 2006 to be exact. So, and she's done some one-offs here and there. I know she did the triple threat match, or the 6-person tag match at WrestleMania 27 with John Morrison and Snooki. She did that match, and of course she just did this past WrestleMania, and she did SummerSlam, I think 2019 in Toronto, which was supposed to have been her last match, but no one ever retires, right? Especially in the world of professional wrestling. Well, Xavier Woods wrestles Dominic Mysterio with, of course, with Rhea. And hard-hitting match. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. Of course, Dom wins with grabbing the tights. And I know Xavier Woods was he threw a fit and was talking about putting it into the Judgment Day and that type of thing. So I'm hoping this can mark the return of all members of the New Day. That'll be interesting. Judgment Day versus the New Day. I like to see that happen. And of course, The Miz does a backstage vignette with Shinsuke Nakamura. He was talking about how they were, two former SmackDown guys, and how they were supposed to stick together and all this stuff. And the Miz wants them to be like a tandem, and Shinsuke basically challenged The Miz to a match for next week's edition of Monday Night Raw. Then, of course, it's the main event of the evening: Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. For those that don't remember, or do remember, the first Universal Championship tournament match was SummerSlam 2016, in which Finn Balor actually did beat Seth Rollins in the match, but he actually got injured in the match when Seth tried to do the buckle bomb on the railing, and Finn hurt he literally dislocated his arm. He was out for a while. So they tried to redo that spot with Finn doing it to Seth, which I think was a nice touch to that previous match that they had back in 2016. But Seth Rollins wins the match with 2 curb stomps to advance to the finals at Night of Champions. So I am very interested to see which SmackDown superstar is going to advance to the finals. I'm hoping, and call me crazy, Seth Rollins versus Edge. But again, I could be reaching, I could be dreaming, or whatever the case, but I think that'll be good. And I think Seth getting a win over Edge, I think will be great. But my thoughts on this tournament in the World Heavyweight Championship, I had a lot of time to think about it. There's been opinions from those that are in the business, that are, from, of course, the fans. And I can see both sides on why they want to create this new title, but I think there could have been a more simplistic way to do it. And I think, the WWE Championship, in which Roman has only held for technically a year, because that was the title that he beat Brock for last WrestleMania. But the Universal title has been, in his grasp since, I believe, August of 2020. So it's been a while since, obviously going on 3 years this coming August, if he holds on to it to that long. But I know the 1000 day is coming up rather soon. I was thinking that the WWE Championship will basically, they could mark that one vacant and they can create a new WWE champion. But the fact that there's technically going to be 3 world championships in the WWE, I'm hoping that something very, very creative is going to happen, in which I believe somehow, some way, Roman Reigns is going to get his hands on that World Heavyweight Championship, and my man is going to be Teflon Don, walking around WWE with 3 world titles around his waist. And I think that could add even more prestige to the potential rematch with him and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40 in Philly. So all we can do as fans is just wait and see what happens. Just follow the story, and let's just go with the flow and see what goes on. But of course, this Friday night on SmackDown, you have the SmackDown side of the tournament, to determine who's going to face Seth Rollins at Night of Champions. As I mentioned, I'm pulling for Edge to do it, but again, we shall see. Well, again, as I stated before in the other day on the podcast that I did to cover or do the recap for Backlash, is that I'm going to be doing some wrestling themed podcasts throughout the week, maybe 15 minutes to 20 minutes, depending upon. But my main, show format on Thursdays does not change. You're still going to be hearing my interviews with everybody. You know what I mean? You never know who's going to show up, who's going to come through the doors of the D-Lou podcast. But of course, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @TheRealDTLou. Facebook is Derrick T. Lewis official page. You can go to my store, shop.derricklewis.com, and get some really dope hoodies and t-shirts. You can also, get my music. You can stream my music on all streaming platforms. Just look up Derrick T. Lewis and you'll be able to see my first single, Selfish Pride, as well as my EP, Every Second Make It Count. Well, I'm going to get out of here. And as I always say, no matter what you do in life, always remember to make it count. See you next time.